Hello guys, it's Chummaster. Today I'm doing another Bottleman discussion, this time on dual type cores, or whatever you want to call them. Basically just any core from Bottleman DX that had different hold parts from the actual core itself, different type hold parts. So yeah, before I get into anything though, I will just say I do have kind of an update or two at the end of the video I will get into. Won't take long, but just mention that now. But for the actual video itself, there will be two sections. The first section will be going over the cores. So basically just what I think of the cores in general. And then the second section will basically be talking about the Bottleman that they come on, and just kind of how good I think it is as a Bottleman, and also I will cross-reference kind of back to my Bottleman DX tier list. It's not required to understand this video or anything. I might recommend watching it. I mean, like, it would be probably a little bit helpful, but, I mean, it's not, like, that important. Just, like, moderately, well, not even moderately, like, mildly helpful, I guess. But, anyway. I guess we'll start with the actual cores now, and not take any more time. So, that said, first up, we have the core. I already talked about this one on my tier list, so I'll go over this one a little bit quicker. But, still explain everything, and that is the control core with speed hold parts. So yeah, this is a control core, has the barrel attachment, but it also has the rollers on the hold parts. So how is this core? It's not really an overly interesting one. There's two cores that are like this here. This is one of them, where they're not really that interesting. But yeah, it's basically just a core where you could attach a barrel onto it, and then also you got the rollers there. I actually think this is a better control core, I'm just saying right now. And yeah, I use the gold Valhalla DX, by the way, since I already used the regular one in the tier list. But yeah, anyway, so this is, in my opinion, is just a better control core, slightly. I think the rollers just do a better job. The control hold parts are just, like, weirdly bad. Like they're they just have, like, no resistance on them. And I get that, you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing to have less resistance for, like, speed or control types, but at the same time, it's just so bad, in my opinion, that yeah, no, I'd much rather just take the rollers, even if you want to make, like, an argument that it's, like, very, very slightly less accurate, which I kind of don't really believe, but, you just get a decent bit more power out of it, because the control types you just get, like, nothing out of. And with a barrel, you're going to reduce power anyway, and then also, like, your accuracy is going to be, like, pretty much the same from all the testing I've done. This core with a barrel, and then a regular control core with a barrel, they're, like, about the same. This one just has a bit more power behind it. It's just, in my opinion, a little bit better. Although, that said, I don't think it's that good either. I just think control cores in general are bad, unfortunately, because obviously then, you know, your barrels are really useless as well, because I don't think control cores are really good. I'd recommend using other stuff. I guess this is, like, slightly better, but it's not really that much better either. I mean, like, yeah, barely, I guess, but still not great. Now we have one of the weirder ones. Well, not weirder, but this is the other kind of boring one, but it's a weird situation, and that is, of course, the speed core with control hold parts. The opposite of what we just talked about. So this one, yeah, you could put a magazine on it, and then you have these control hold parts. This one you could argue is actually better, but I don't agree with that. So basically, you have control hold parts, meaning that you have, like, no resistance on your shots. It's, like, ridiculously weak, like I mentioned. Because you're a speed type, that might sound better, because, okay, you might have faster shots if there's less resistance, but I swear it somehow manages to be, like, either, I mean, it's hard to tell, like, again, these are, like, marginal differences, I feel like, but it's either the same or still just slightly slower. It doesn't feel better to shoot, in my opinion. It's either, again, like, about the same, slightly worse. I mean, it's a pretty marginal difference. I wouldn't, like, be mad about using this over a regular speed core, but it just feels a little bit worse, in my opinion. Like, barely, again. We're talking about pretty marginal things here. But yeah, I don't think it's, like, that much worse or anything. Like, it's perfectly fine. Like, if you got this over Duck Gupion somehow, I would say this is, like, just about the same. Or if this is, like, your only core that supports a magazine instead of, you know, normal speed core. Again, it works perfectly fine, but I just argue it's, like, very, very slightly worse. So Yeah, I mean, control hold parts just suck, man. They just aren't good for anything. I think that's just kind of the takeaway here. Now we get to one of the more fun ones, I guess. One of the two. We'll save the best one for last here, but this one is a control core, but with power type hold parts. This is where it gets to some of the fun stuff. So, alright. Get a barrel attachment, but you also have the drive strip power hold parts, which immediately this is just better. Like, this is just a better Bottleman, in my opinion, or a better core, rather. So basically, normally without a barrel, it's just like a power core, but obviously putting a barrel on, you actually lose a bit of power naturally, but you also lose a bit of spin, which is interesting. So yeah, you don't get as much of a spin shot on this, it's a bit less powerful. However, it's still way stronger than a regular control core, especially with like a barrel attached. Um, and like, yeah, okay, maybe it's like a little less accurate, but at the same time, these things shoot straight. They're not meant to shoot sideways. Like, Bottlemen shoot straight for the most part. This thing shoots pretty straight, and again, with a barrel on it, it's like very slightly worse in terms of accuracy to where I don't think it really matters all that much. Um, but you actually have decent power behind the shots. And, it's something to use like kind of as a control type. You have a barrel. To me, it's just so much better than a control type. Again, you get, compared to control type, like a regular control core, you're getting quite a bit more power on your shots with like very, very slightly worse accuracy to where I don't think it really matters all that much. This is just a better control core in every way possible. It's better than I guess you could argue that the control core with the speed hold parts is better that as like a normal control core. But like normal control cores just suck anyway, so I'd much rather use this over that. So yeah, this thing is actually pretty nice to have. I do like this core quite a bit. And lastly, the craziest core of all, a speed core with power hold parts. You can see again the drive strip in there. The orange part, harder to see, but it's there. And also you got the magazine port. This thing is just ridiculously overpowered. So, this is not meant to be used as like a speed power hybrid, but yeah, just use it as a power type with capacity. Yeah, you throw a long magazine on this thing, you have 5 caps to shoot, and they're just 5 solid power shots, and that's it. You don't really see capacity too often here with non-speed types in DX, so having anything like that is great. And it's something that just supports any magazine at all. That's way better than something like Raid Rave with its Dragogena magazine, where it fits 3 caps, debatably. Yeah, no, this thing could just use any speed type magazine with the power hold parts. It's ridiculous. It's just really, really good. And yeah, it's, in my opinion, just the best core in the entire game. I think it just has the most versatility. Again, control cores just kind of suck. And well, yeah, I guess you'd argue like you might want a speed core or something for certain things. It's also just kind of like, I'd rather just use this for like almost anything, honestly. It's just so good. So those are my thoughts on the cores. Let's go ahead and talk about the Bottlemen themselves and also kind of give my, I guess, rankings, you could say. So, first up here, we have Bottleman DX. I have already ranked this thing. Again, I'm using the gold recolor here just to make it a little bit different, but I did rank this at 13th on my Bottlemen tier list. 12th was Aquasports DX, and then 14th was Earth Ruler DX. So, yeah, it's not a good one, and again, that ranking is out of 17, by the way. It's not very good. This Bottleman, you have like the whole power thing where it's like you could like shoot normally or like move forward, gives you extra power on your shots. But you also, again, it's like a slightly better control course too. I guess you're kind of choosing between like a normal like control type basically with, I guess, very slightly better hold parts to shoot like a control type. Obviously, you probably have a barrel on it. Or you can just kind of decide to not care about accuracy and just move forward with this thing to give some more, I guess just stronger shots is the easy way to say it. But why? I mean, if you have a barrel on this thing, your shots aren't really going to be that strong anyway. I mean, like, kind of-ish, but it's like, who cares at that point? They're still not going to be, I mean, they're less accurate for, like, okay power. If you don't have a barrel on this thing, I guess you get decent power, but at that point it's like, why use this over a power core at that point with this gimmick? I guess it's like still an option, but I just don't think it's a great one, and this thing just doesn't really work all that well in my opinion. It just exists, and that's really all I could say about it. It's just like, I guess of like the normal control types outside of Aerosider DX, kind of the other ones, you know, Lethal Guardian DX, Argreno DX, Earthroller DX, it's the best of those, but it's not like good either, so that's basically that. This is a funny one. Bottle Wyvern DX. This is my opinion between the number 1 and 2 spot. Number 2 I had as Colomar Energy DX, and then number 1 is Doc Pepion DX. This is basically just, in my opinion, a slightly, very, very slightly worse Doc Pepion DX. So naturally, it's like between number 1 and 2. Very weak, I would say. It's not really that interesting. It just kind of exists, but it's a variant, so I guess I have to count it separately, and yeah, I guess it happens to just be right behind the number 1. Get a one-handed grip. You could customize with these parts and make a nice one-handed grip if you want. You have a ring trigger which helps with speed a little bit. It's a functional speed type. You throw a magazine on it, it works well. I mean, like, plus, you know, its gimmicks, it just works nicely, and that's kind of all there is to say about it, honestly. It just works as, in my opinion, the best speed type in the game. This is basically just a recolor of it with very slightly worse performance, I guess, because the hold parts are worse, but, like, it's not by much. Yeah, you probably get what I mean. It's just, like, almost the same thing. So now let's get to the two fun ones. First up here, we have, of course, Earthroller DX, the blue version. So you have the side-to-side gimmick, which in my opinion is just not all that great. Yeah, I mean, like, it's okay, I guess. Put a barrel on it, you have some control stuff going on, but you have a power core. That's fun. So where I rank this thing, I'd rank it between 5th and 6th. I had 5th as a Royal Griffin DX, and then 6th I had Aerosider DX. So basically I'm ranking it one spot above what I had as like the best control type, because again, I think this is a bit better. In terms of like the actual armor and stuff, it's worse, but the core is just so much better to where, yeah, that's fine, honestly. So, you can also, I guess, squeeze in these parts back here a little bit for power, but it's like, I don't like doing that though with this thing, because it feels like I'm going to break it or something. I feel like this is like not sturdy enough, and these don't really touch well enough. Well, I guess you could do it up here, but it just doesn't feel good. I feel like I'm going to break the thing, honestly, so I don't recommend pushing in for a power shot this much on this guy, but I guess you can, but like I don't recommend it. Like I feel like it's going to break. Maybe that's just me, but still, I personally advise against it. I guess you can kind of hold it here somewhat to maybe reduce kind of the, when the core kind of spreads out a little bit for the cap to come out. I guess maybe you could hold it in place and makes it a little bit stronger, kind of. Can help out a little bit, I guess, but it's not like that crazy or anything. But yeah, again, in my opinion, this is still between 5 and 6 because it is a good, well, in my opinion, just the best control type because the hold parts don't suck. That's really all there is to it. Again, why did they do control types like this? I don't know. I actually like control types a lot. Control types are really interesting to me. I always feel like they're kind of an underdog type, considering, you know, speed types and power types just actually have a lot better stuff going on, but still, I like them. They're cool, but they just did not do them well in DX, but this thing actually feels pretty good. I guess it's not exactly what you'd expect from a control type, but still leagues better than what else you're getting from normal ones, so I think that's fine. Anyway, yeah, this thing is really, really good overall. Even though the gimmicks aren't that crazy on Earthroller, the core is just nice. Alright, this is what I have to talk about, this thing. Okay. Red Aerosider DX. Okay, where do I begin? I'll just say it. This is the best Bottleman. It beats Doc Pepion easily. This is by far the best stock Bottleman. I guess it's not a mainline Bottleman technically because it's not like an original motif or evolution or whatever. But in terms of just stock Bottleman that you could buy in a product, this is the best. There's no contest. It's the best. So you have a control gimmick here with the you know, different stuff. You have the grip, the stabilizer, or the barrel mode, and you have this little horn you can use as a sight, I guess. So there's your control stuff, but you also have a magazine port, You get capacity out of that. You get power type hold parts. You have everything here, and everything works well together. It's not like a Valhas situation where you're getting technically all three types, but who cares? The speed hold parts don't really do a whole lot for a speed gimmick. It just kind of ends up being a control core, and the power gimmick doesn't really work well with it. This thing, everything works well. The speed, gives you capacity. That's nice power. Obviously, just gives you literal power, and then the control gimmicks just make it easier to use, in my opinion. It just feels nice. So everything here works well together, and it's great. But also, there's actually something fun about this thing. The grip mode, which is I just have it kind of as a basic mode, is in my opinion the worst one because it works, but stabilize mode is better in my opinion because when you have it in the stabilizer mode, it gives you some more support for the magazine, which is nice. Best mode is barrel mode. Let me just take this thing off and I will show you why barrel mode is the best mode. So when you have a power type, you have these little notches, which I was kind of referencing with Earth Roller a little bit. Push in on these, and again, it's like Earth Roller, where you don't really push in a ton. But like you can kind of see if I were to start shooting, you can kind of see how they bend out a little bit, and if you push in, you can kind of get it to where they do it a little bit less. So when you do this in barrel mode, actually, let me just switch over. These parts are obviously, they're not on the hold parts directly, but they're like right there with them. And so what happens when you attach this kind of bridge piece, it makes it to where everything is just held better in place. So there's more resistance against here, so they don't push out quite as far. They still push out a little bit, of course, but like it holds them together better is what I'm trying to get at, which in turn makes it a bit stronger. So basically you get like a permanent emblem charge on this power type with control gimmicks and cap capacity, which no other power type has outside of Raid Brave, but that's only 3. This can get way more. I think you can kind of see what I'm getting at, why I think this is the best Bottleman. So, yeah. This thing is just insane. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely funny that this thing is allowed when you have, like, such restricted cores and stuff. Like, everything else is so restricted, this thing is just allowed to do whatever it wants because why not, I guess. It was the end of DX somewhat, and they just decided, you know what? Let's just decide to make this stupid because, sure. So, there you go. It's not a pretty subpar shot of all of them, but it is a shot of all of them. So basically, what do I think about these cores as a whole, and the Bottleman as a whole? So, I think this just kind of shows that, well, this was a cool idea. I like the idea of having, customization between, different hold parts and different, I guess just cores, but I feel like this could have been solved had they just, had them unrestricted from the start. Just have ports on every core. A barrel port and a magazine port. And then the trigger, and well, I guess the trigger's customizable, but the only unique part about cores are just the hold parts, or unless it has like a unique mold, like, I don't know, Dragogena for example, but still, why not just make these a little bit better from the start than they wouldn't have had to make the dual cores? I don't know what happened there, honestly. I still like my idea where it would have been kind of like everything has a port, but like speed types have a second magazine port, and then control types have an extra barrel port. And you'd have specialized pieces specifically for control and speed types, and basic parts for everything. I think that would have still kept kind of the differentiation between. Is that a word? I think it is. Differentiation. I don't know. I feel like that just sounded awkward in the sentence. Anyway. It just make each type feel more unique, I guess, while at least allowing access to parts like they should have. In my opinion, that just works way better. So, yeah. These Bottlemen are weird. I feel like Valhas was a weird experiment that was just kind of there. Bottle Wyvern, just a very slightly worse Doc Pepian, and then these two are just better versions of, like, I guess, speed and control types. Well, this one's debatable, but, like, it's in my opinion just the best Bottleman, and then this thing yeah, no, it's just a better control type. So, yeah, these are cool. Well, these two are just kind of whatever. These two are cool, though. I like these a lot, actually. They're fun. You know, they're a little bit broken, especially this one's a little bit more broken than the other, but this one's, compared to other control types, it's broken. But again, this could have just been a lot easier had they, again, just given everything proper parts and then maybe just made specialized parts for types. I don't understand why that didn't happen, but whatever. Or just given access to everything, and I kind of don't like that still because, again, you don't really have much of a type different, like, variance at that point. You know, you could just use whatever with whatever parts and you just make one busted Bottleman without having to think too much about types, and I kind of like having the different types and stuff, but I feel like I've said this a few times at this point in different ways, so yeah. Still, though, I am glad that they made these, I guess. It was always cool to see how they would do them, even if it made something a little too broken, but that's fine, I guess. However, it looks like it with Bottleman G, and yeah, I know it's called Bottleman Godcap, but I'm just calling it Bottleman G for convenience. It looks like they've somewhat found a solution to this. I will talk about that in a later video, but yeah, that kind of leads into my little update here. My next video should be on Bottleman G. It will be probably a whole video where I just talk a little bit about Bottleman G, and throughout that entire day, which would probably be Tuesday, which is, I think, the 27th, 28th? 28th. Okay. So 28th, today's the 26th. That works then. So 2 days from now, I will have a day where I basically put up 4 videos. Again, I will make a Bottleman G haul, and then I'll do Draggart G, Samet's G, and then Cobalt Bottle G. I think that's the name of it. All that day. So yeah. And then not too long after that, I will be doing a, well, I don't know how long, but maybe like a week or two after I've really gotten accustomed to the system, I'll make a video on the new system as well, a discussion on that, so that'll be fun. So yeah, that's my kind of update, I guess, for Bottleman stuff. That stuff is coming soon. So I guess this is the last video for the DX era. I will still be referencing DX stuff, and we'll be making discussions on DX stuff probably, so we're not done with it, but it is the last video kind of during the era before we get to the G stuff. So yeah, that's that. That's all for this video. It went on for quite some time. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, see you then. So thanks for watching, and bye-bye.